Hello everyone. So I have another creepy personal story to tell. I've made one of these kinds of videos before. It's up on the channel called A Disturbing and Unexplainable Memory or something along those lines. So who knows, maybe this will become a series if I have enough stories to make it a series. I will say this story isn't nearly as disturbing and creepy as the last one in that previous video. That shit had me on edge. I was genuinely terrified. Don't get me wrong, this story is extremely creepy, but unlike the last story, at no point did I feel like I was actually in any danger or anything like that. So to begin, I was leaving work one night. I'm not sure what time, but it was dark out, maybe like 7 p.m. in the winter months when it gets darker earlier than usual. I didn't have a car, and public transportation was also a headache because I was an extremely far walk away from the nearest train or bus stop, so I got an Uber. So I'm waiting on the corner of this busy ass street. I mean, there was so many fucking cars that I almost missed my Uber because, you know, they only wait for like, I think 5 minutes or so. And there's a ton of people walking back and forth on the block I was on because where I work is right next to 2 or 3 stadiums, you know, for like sports events, concerts, whatever. And some event was happening that day. I don't remember what, it doesn't matter. But my point is there was a shitload of people. So my Uber arrives, and like I said, I'm about to miss the Uber driver. So I called him to ask where exactly he was, and he said he couldn't stop at the corner I was at because there was simply too many cars. So he had to stop further down the block because there was just too much commotion at that corner. So I start walking down the block looking for this black Honda or whatever it was, and I'm barging through crowds of people. I'll tell you why the place being crowded and chaotic was important a bit later. I walk like halfway down this absolutely enormous block. Like this shit was like a football field, and I was rushing so he didn't take off without me. I finally found him. Sigh of relief. And I'm walking up to the car, and it definitely, you know, I made sure it was the car from the picture on the Uber app. And as I'm close to the car, walking up to get into the back seat, because, you know, you're not really supposed to get into the passenger seat of an Uber, right? I noticed there's a guy in the driver's seat, obviously. And then there was this lady in the passenger seat for some reason. This black lady with curly hair, and I think she may have had glasses on. The Uber I ordered was supposed to be just me, no other passengers, because that's the type of Uber I selected. So honestly, my first thought was that this lady was this guy's wife or something, or his girlfriend. So, you know, like maybe just for some familiar company while he's driving around or something. I don't know. I see Uber drivers do some pretty unprofessional stuff sometimes. Not that driving an Uber is that professional to begin with, but you get what I'm saying. It didn't even really cross my mind that she could be a passenger since it wasn't what I selected, but logically speaking, that's probably more realistic than someone driving an Uber around with their wife or whatever. That's irrelevant. So I get in the back seat and he starts driving, and I noticed that the chair in front of me, which was the passenger seat, where the lady was, the chair was moved like as far up as it could go and angled downward in a way that if someone was sitting there, they would be extremely uncomfortable if they could sit there at all to begin with. So I was like, why is this lady sitting like that? Like, isn't she uncomfortable? And I look in the side mirror, and the seat is completely fucking empty. No one sitting there. No lady. When I saw that, my jaw dropped. I know I saw a lady in that seat walking up to the car. Like, there was no chance I mistaked an empty car seat for a black lady with curly hair. Like, how would that even happen? And that's why I took the time to describe her appearance, so you can know that I did get a somewhat good look at her before I got in the car. But keep in mind, I was in a serious rush, barging through the crowd on the sidewalk and looking frantically for this black Honda, and I'm out of breath from all this. So when I got to the car, I will admit, I didn't have the best look at the passenger seat as I could have because of all the things I just listed. So I'm sitting in the back seat kind of freaking out that that passenger seat was not empty when I was walking up to the car, and I was trying to rationalize it, and the only thing I could think of, and this is a stretch even, maybe there was some kind of duffel bag or some other object or something in the seat that vaguely remembered like a person at first glance, and he moved it as soon as I was about to get in. That's really reaching, I know, but I literally cannot think of any other rational explanation for this. So during the drive home, I kept looking in the side view mirror just to get a better look at the passenger seat to maybe spot anything that could have looked like a person, but there was nothing. So I get home and get out of the car, and I really didn't want to look in the passenger seat window on the way out because for some reason I had a strong feeling that if I looked, I would see that lady again, and that sounded terrifying. So I got out, said thank you, and didn't look back and walked into my house. Like, it was just a hunch that she'd be there again, but it was a strong hunch, so it could be that and nothing else. But I really feel like it was more than that. Like, I almost felt like I could feel her presence reappear when I was getting out. As weird as that sounds, that is what it felt like to me. So yeah, I decided not to look back, but thinking back on it, I really wish I did, because this story would be like that much creepier. It'd be a bittersweet thing if I did see her again on the way out. I would lose my shit. I would absolutely shit myself on the spot, in that moment. But I would have a story. I would have a cooler, creepier story to tell. So I kind of wish I did look back and see her in hindsight. But yeah, that's the story. Again, nowhere near as terrifying as the last one, I know, but definitely still left me a bit shooken up. And if you haven't seen the last horror story video, it'll be in the description. I'd recommend it if you like these creepy stories like this. But that's about it. If anyone has any other rational or unrational explanations, either is welcome. I am all ears. I'll try to respond to any comments I get. I don't get many anyway. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.